Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Sports. I am your host.
I used to love.
It is important for people to go back and invest in your neighborhood.
Ronnie Chambers, this is my coach Derek Rodriguez out of A&B Boxing. We're on Let's Talk Sport Nation.
PS, and we on Let's Talk Sports Nation.
You know what it is, man. This is Let's Talk Sports Nation.
If you come from a neighborhood that's impoverished and you get an opportunity and you make some success, invest in your neighborhood. Your government's not. Government's not.
Let's Talk Sports. I'm your host, Clifton Lewis. On the panel today, we got my man, Jamil.
The number one neighborhood sports analyst, Millie One Kenobi.
Jamil Patterson.
Yeah.
And to my extreme right, we got the coach, Big Fridge.
I feel like I'm number one.
Hey.
I'm just saying.
I want your cornbread.
Hey, and making another appearance, we got the youngster. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hey, man, I'm Easop Winston, go to City College, play football. That's just what I do, man. I go to school, academics first, and just living every day, trying to better myself.
Recently, with the retirement of Peyton Manning as well, there were comments that were made by the Hall of Famer, Joe Montana, in regards to comparing the two eras, from his era, from the 40s or whenever, to current players. And we have a clip.
I think people should just enjoy everyone for when they played and how they played. I mean, I tell people all the time, if you haven't seen Otto Graham or Sammy Baugh play on film, you should watch it, because they were way ahead of their time. And I don't know how you can, put someone from today, looking back and compare them to someone back then.
I mean, Joe's era, he had Lawrence Taylor to deal with. There's no Lawrence Taylor right now. You have a J.J. Watt right now, but that's no Lawrence Taylor.
Ain't no LT.
Lawrence Taylor changed the game.
He did.
You know what I mean? So, when it comes to receivers, Calvin Johnson, I think he could be mentioned with some of the great receivers, because the way that he played, and he blocked, he catch, he did everything. But it was just unfortunate that he played for the Detroit Lions, because teams was able, I had him for my fantasy football, so I watched him a lot. It was teams that just straight double teamed him like he was a gunner on a punt. And I was like, really? Y'all really just go double him like that? And the Lions couldn't do nothing.
I gotta say something about that too. I would hate to go to the Detroit Lions. I mean, they just seem cursed. Y'all had Barry. They had one of the greatest receivers, one of the greatest running backs in their time period. Didn't do nothing with them, and both of them retired earlier. Okay, so I just had to throw that in.
But let's get the youngsters' perspective. I mean, we a bunch of old heads. Let's get the youngsters.
Well, speaking from a quarterback's perspective, I would say it's kind of different, because I just thought about when the read option got implemented and Oregon started running the read option. It got implemented also into the NFL. But I feel like back then there wasn't a lot of dual threat quarterbacks. Now you're seeing Robert Griffin, he's not on the path where he was. And you had Mike Vicks, and you had all these dual threat quarterbacks. They're able to change the game a lot now, not just throwing the ball but on their feet. I feel like back then a lot of quarterbacks just stood in the pocket. So I think that's a big difference now. Now it's a lot of dual threat type of quarterbacks. Well, back then it was a lot of guys who just stood in the pocket.
Well, see. Here's the thing too with that, right? Because I think I think it's styles, right? I think it's styles which you can always go back and study, right? And if you want to study one of the perfect dual threats, Steve McNair, study him the year that the Raiders went to the Super Bowl. because he was almost like the perfect dual threat, and he had almost mastered the game. Even though the game has changed, I still always think there's guys that do similar things to what you're doing in the television era, of course.
Well, let me